Hello everyone, today I will explain 5 technical questions from the CCNA to you. First, let's look at the first question. The first question mainly asks us about the situation where, when connecting from a client to the data center, to the switch, core switch, and server in the data center to retrieve data, the access rate is too low. We executed a command to check the status and found that the checksum count is very high. What is the cause of this issue? There is only one reason for this, which is that the physical cable has malfunctioned, right? Because the checksum count is very high. This is a very important clue. Then this checksum error usually manifests at the data link layer, where checksum failures are caused by signal damage or packet damage. So these checksum errors generally occur at the physical layer. So the answer to this question is A. Let's look at the correct answer. Choose A. Okay, let's look at the second question. The second question involves the optical transmission medium. It asks specifically, what exactly the difference is between these two types of optical interfaces? Then the first one, the first choice, choice A, it indeed states that this type of interface can actually interoperate with both multi-mode and single mode, specifically meaning the optical fibers of multi-mode and single mode can interoperate. When using this on multi-mode fiber, when using this type of interface, it does not require adjusting the patch cord. This is particularly beneficial in environments where multi-mode fiber is prevalent, as it ensures seamless connectivity and optimal performance. Then the first option says that when interoperating between multi-mode and single mode, it requires adjusting the patch cord, meaning it says this needs adjusting the patch cord. But actually, it does not require adjusting the patch cord, so this option is wrong. Now then, let's just look at the second option. The second option specifically says, it mentions that this type of place can work with dual rates, which are approximately 100 Mbps, and this 10K rate. It says that during the interoperability of this multi-mode fiber, it states that this type only supports a single rate, So this single rate is also incorrect, as it does not support 100 Mbps. The error lies here, as it does not support this interoperability. Therefore, option B is also wrong. Now let us carefully examine option C. It clearly states that this particular type of connection supports a 1000 km link. And the other type, what does it support? Supports 70 kilometers. This on the link means it can operate on the link for up to 70 kilometers. In reality, this type can support longer distances. Usually it generally supports 70. But it can also support up to 1000 kilometers. But it's not commonly used, so option C is also wrong. So the correct answer should be D. D says that this type supports 10 kilometers, 10 kilometer link, and the other type supports 70 kilometers, so the option is D. This question is a bit tricky. The correct answer is D. All right, let's look at the third question. The third question is a multiple choice question. This multiple choice question states that in network implementation, this private address is used, and there are two reasons for using private addressing. The first one, option A, says that using internal applications will be able to treat this private IPv4 address as a unique address, which seems correct. Then we look at option B, which is about facilitating merging, requiring renumbering when merging networks. This doesn't relate, so this is incorrect. The IPv4 private address is not specifically for this purpose. Option C is about expanding the routing table on the router, which doesn't have this function, so this is also incorrect. Option D says it's to prevent external attacks. The private address doesn't have this kind of function. Then option E says it's to save this public addresses, public IPv4 addresses, so this option is correct. In this particular case, for this question, we have determined that the best choices are the options labeled as A and E. Now let us proceed to examine the correct answer, which is indeed A and E. Okay, question 4. Question 4 also talks about private addresses, IPv4 private address question. It asks what problem it solves. First, let's talk about this. First, we see something called IPv5. This is definitely wrong. This option C is definitely wrong. Additionally, it says that the private address is to support CIDR and variable length subnet masks, which is for supporting subnetting. So this is also incorrect. This is also incorrect. And then option B says that the network boundary lacks security protocols, which has nothing to do with IPv4 private addresses. So this answer is wrong. It is important to note that the correct answer is D, which states the insufficient availability of available public IPv4 addresses. So the correct answer is D. So this question is actually the same as the previous one. You choose D. Okay, question 5. Well, in question 5 specifically, there are some symbols and letters. These are used primarily for connection purposes. You can think of them essentially as connectors. It says specifically and in detail in this 3-layer model within the 3-layer architecture of a campus network from one workstation, this workstation, to another workstation, how should traffic be transmitted in a detailed and comprehensive manner between these two workstations in a 3-layer architecture of a campus network. Actually, in a 3-layer structure, that is the core, then aggregation, then this is the access. So essentially, the 3-layer structure should be deployed in a manner like this: core, aggregation, access with hosts below, such as, for example, if this PC1 wants to send data to this PC2 within the same 3-layer campus network structure, right? That is, this is called workstation 1 and 2. For them to communicate, they definitely have to go through this, the first step, through this access switch. The second step is the aggregation switch. The third step is the core switch. The fourth step is aggregation. The fifth step is access. And then it reaches workstation 2. So the correct answer is this: access to distribution, then core distribution. This is literally called access, right? So the correct answer is option D. Let's look at the correct answer. Choose D. Okay, submit. Okay, if anyone wants to learn Cisco technology or get Cisco question banks, please send me a private message, leave a comment for a technical exchange.